How we doing, team? We are back for another episode of the Hashtag Show. A lot has been happening. The World Cup is almost over. Well, when you listen to this, it will be over. And I hope and pray to whatever God you believe in that the fucking Spanish get the job done. Because God forbid that little rat lifts the trophy one more time. Anyway, the World Cup's on. England are finally out. Scotland can relax. We can finally go to the pub and enjoy a pint again. The temperature's through the roof. There's lots happening in the political landscape, but this episode, I think we've got a few random things we need to talk about. So sit back, unbuckle your trousers, get yourself comfortable, however you are watching or listening to this podcast, as we strap in for another solo episode, which will no doubt be as mental and as unhinged as it always is. This is the Hashtag Show. I am Scott Gibson. Thanks for joining me.
Welcome to the Hashtag Show. Everyone's welcome, no one is safe. Welcome to the Hashtag Show. Winter is coming, but we hate snowflakes. Welcome to the Hashtag Show. Chakiola, we are the people. You should become a hashtag hero. You should become a hashtag hero. You should become a hashtag hero. The Hashtag Show.
Every last second there of the hashtag intro. It's gospel. Gospel is what we need. All right? When you are delivering a sermon of pain and misery, gospel is what you need. I am not a religious man. All right? Like most Protestant men who grew up in the west of Scotland, I went to Sunday school. All right? I was sent to Sunday school. And were you sent there to learn about the Lord? No, you were not. You were there to cock tease paedophiles and for you to get out the house so you could do a bit of cleaning and get a hole on a Sunday. That's why you went to Sunday school. All right? It was somewhere for you to go. I would imagine that the children who went to Sunday school, who then went on to actually be religious in any way, shape or form, I imagine is a small, minuscule percentage. I imagine it's such a small number, it isn't even registered. The only thing that's registered in a Sunday school were the priests. Now, I don't remember much about Sunday school. I think there was some elements. In fact, as I've said that, it's fucking, in the words of Celine Dion, it's all coming back to me now. I don't know if these memories have been suppressed over the years. I don't know if something happened to me in Sunday school and the good ministers of the Renfrewshire Baptist Orange Order Church have somehow done some kind of Men in Black mind sweep on me. I don't know. But what I do remember is this. I remember we got a Bible, a Bible, from the church at the Sunday school. And I remember it being yellow. I remember it being very colourful, a colourful front to the Bible. Not like an old-fashioned Bible, you know, the black one that just says Holy Bible down the sleeve. Again, tangent side. Good off one slide. You've got to admire the marketing team behind the Bible. Minimalist, you know, they stuck to their guns, right? The Bible, arguably the biggest selling book in circulation. Number one bestseller. Has anybody bought a Bible? Is it annoying you that I'm saying Bible and not Bible? I couldn't give a flying fuck at this point. Has anybody ever bought one? Or do you just acquire one? Does the power of the Lord simply put one into your presence? Do you think... Maybe here's the thing, right? Maybe this is how we do it. Maybe this is how we all find God. Right? You hear all these guys giving it all. Listen.
Look, see when you need to access God, God will present himself to you. Now, you have been conditioned through Western media to think that God is a man in the sky, sits in a cloud, pulling his plonker, dictating life on earth like we are ants. And the reality is, far from that, we are created in his image. All of us are God's children. And God's basically like, listen, bish bash bosh, here's some mountains, a river, and the sun. He's like, let it be light, and fucking there was light. And then he's like, look, I've fucking built this model railway set, and I've got no trains, right? That's what he's done. God has been in the loft because he's fucking having a ding dong with a wife, because God is created in our image, meaning we are he and he is I. So if God is us and we are him, then he's fucking got a wife nipping his head off. So anyway, God's up in the loft and he's built a model railway set, right? And he's like, this is fucking dynamite, but I've not got any trains. And then he's went, fucking Jiminy Cricket, abracadabra, bosh, trains. We are God's trains. We are the trains of the model railway village of life. All right?
So, I don't know if you need Jesus in your life. I don't know if you need religion. Some of you may be religious. Some of you may be awakened by the current religious warfare that's going on. I think if there is a God, and maybe there is, right? And if you believe there is, there is. And if you believe there isn't, there isn't. And that's fine. All right? And then when you're not here anymore and you're away in the fucking cosmic universe, who knows? But if God is listening, and I imagine he does listen to the hashtag show, it's the correct balance of offence and joy. I think what God needs to do, if he's listening, is this. Give us the ability to access the Bible. And here's how he does it, right? Much like Thor's hammer. Stay with me now. Much like Thor's hammer, when he puts his horn out and he's like, fucking hammer time. Or whatever it is, Thor's. I'm not a Marvel man. All right? I am not... I have not submerged myself in the Marvel universe, mostly because I like having sex with women. So it's not really my cup of tea. But I do know that Thor's got a hammer, and what the fucking hammer it is. And if he puts his horn out and he shouts, hammer time, the hammer appears. Now, I may have made the hammer time bit up, but he's missing a trick there. Whoever wrote Marvel, they should have had they should have had Thor shout hammer time, and then Thor's hammer appears. I think God should have given us that gift. Not with a hammer, but with a Babel. Right? So if you need Jesus in your life, you just shout, God time. Babel. Babel cometh. Put your horn out and a fucking Bible just appears in your horn. That would get me into religion. Right? If I could access God that way, I'm in. I bought Babel time, and just a Babel just appears. I'd be into that. So I don't know. Again, I've got a Bible in there. A Babel. Can you see it in the camera? It's in that cupboard. It was my grandfather's. King James. Good Hun Bible. That's how I acquired mine. Now, have I read it? No. Will I read it? Possibly not. Am I going to skim through it because I'm currently trying to write a show loosely based on a sermon? Yes, I am. But what I'm trying to say is, has anybody actually ever bought one? Or do you just acquire a Babel over the years? I don't know what it is about it that intrigues me slightly. I think it's because I like a good story. I think that's what it is. I think it's because I admire a good storyteller. And those men who wrote that Babel. What a story. You know? I have been to the Vatican, which is obviously the other side of the coin from the Hun Bible. But when you go in to the Vatican and the fucking, what is it? Saint fucking, what is it called? The Basilica. The fucking St. Paul's. Is it St. John's? St. Paul's. What's the fucking thing called? It's not the Vatican. Is it St. Paul's Cathedral? No, that's England. What's the Vatican called? Vatican. What's the Vatican called? Vatican City. Official name of the Vatican. The Holy See. No. Is it Basilica? Basilica Vatican. St. Peter's Basilica. That's the very boy there. St. Pedro's. If you've never been, you should go. If you've never been to the Vatican and St. Peter's Basilica, you really need to go. It's one of those places, right? Now, I will admit it's no Glasgow Cathedral, okay? You're never going to get any better than that. But as far as historical buildings go, top 5. Now, when you go, it is the grandeur of it will hit you. You know, and when you get in and you see, the first thing I thought when I went into the Basilica was, I can understand why Catholicism was as successful as it was. When you see it all, right, because you learn about the Romans in school and you do a bit of history and you watch a few films, right, and you watch Gladiator and you watch different things and you think, see, the Romans went, all roads lead to Rome. You're like, hey guys, we're fucking dynamite, by the way. Do you know what I mean? And you think they invented fucking flushing away your jobbies? Very good. Viaducts? Fucking love a viaduct. A lot of different stuff, right? They fucking marched everywhere and fucking controlled the earth at one point, right? Then they all started shagging their sisters. It went a bit backwards and they condensed themselves, took a fucking sidestep and created the Catholic Church. Fair enough, right? But when you go in to St. Peter's Basilica, there is an element of it where you think, I can only imagine what ancient Rome must have been like. If this is the grandeur and just the absolute magnificence of it all, you can understand why the Catholic Church is not only so successful and so powerful, but continues to be powerful to this day. Because there is a bit of you. There is a bit of you. Even if you're the most fucking staunch 1690 King Billy there is. As soon as you go up that marble stairs and the cool air hits you on a hot Roman day, you think to yourself, by Christ, maybe these Catholics are onto something here. It's a magical place. Now, how did we start talking about Sunday schools and St. Peter's Basilica? Absolutely no idea. Absolutely no idea. But here we are, and the episode has started. I hope you're well. I hope you're all safe and well. Like many of you, I'm struggling. I'm struggling with the heat. I thought the weather had turned. I thought the summer was over. And it gave us a week of normality, of cool wetness. And then suddenly, the powers that be, the Rothschilds, the fucking Bitcoin miners, the cloud surfers, whoever they are, right? The day walkers, the shadow people, have decided that Scotland must suffer more and we've got more heat. And I'm struggling now. I'm also fully aware now that I am completely ill-equipped for this weather. I do not have the wardrobe to deal with this. I went out for dinner last night for my birthday and I had to put jeans on and I could have cried. I could have wept. I could have wept trying to squeeze a hot, sweaty leg into a pair of jeans and a pair of Timberland boots. I could have fucking wept if I had allowed myself a moment of weakness. if I had allowed myself to be like a modern day man, a softest lefty cuck, I may have shed a tear. Instead, I just had to man up, which is a term that's been lost. I had to man up. And some people will say, but Gibbo, what is a man? I go have no idea. A fucking pair of hairy boys. But what does man up actually mean? It means shut the fuck up and go on with it. Internalise your pain and fucking keep going. That's what man up means. Man up doesn't necessarily have to be anything masculine. Man up doesn't have to be anything like a sign of strength. Man up simply is do as a man must do, which is take all your pain and all your worry and all your questions and all your fears and internalise it and continue on with a smile on the face. And what is the hope in that? Is the hope that life gets better? Is the hope that maybe someone in your life who cares about you will turn in and say, is everything all right with you? No, the hope is that if you internalise enough pain and enough fear and enough worry, that one day your heart will explode and you'll die a quick, painless death. That's what you hope. Preferably on a Monday morning so you don't need to go to work that day. That's all that a man can hope for. That's it. Gone are the times of hope when it may be a happy life. You know, peace and prosperity to man. Or, a successful career or a big bank balance. No. All that a man, a real man, can hope for is that one day he internalises enough of his pain that his heart explodes from his chest. That's all that a man can hope for. So to my brothers out there, stay strong. Internalise that pain because your heart's ready to go at any fucking minute. So, jeans on, a shirt, Timby boots, off I go into the fucking midnight heat. And it was most unpleasant. And then it became even more unpleasant when I had a meal and I was in even warm and uncomfortable now. And I came home and straight into casual wear. Right, fan on, sat and watched the England-France game. So I am ill-equipped. My wardrobe does not allow me to operate in such heat. Certainly not in a smart, casual way. I think most of us will have a pair of shorts, whether they be gym wear or sectarian sportswear. The team of your choice. I don't think you could rock up to a nice Italian restaurant in a full Rangers kit. I think you may be turned away. You could maybe do it in a Celtic tap. But certainly not the Rangers strip. So I don't know what fat men wear. I don't know what big men wear. If there's any big men out there who are, smart casual dressers, what do you wear when the weather is 28 degrees Celsius at fucking 10 past 10 at night? What do you wear? Because I've got no idea. Everything that is, I suppose, smart casual, like they say. I bought a pair of shorts. From the fat online retailer, Jacquemo. Okay? It used to be a sanctuary for fat men. Jacquemo, it was a running joke. It was a joke amongst the fat community. Where'd you get your clothes for? Jacquemo? Yes, I did. Yes, I did get them for Jacquemo. And you know why? Because the high street doesn't cater for the fuller figure. So we have to shop online, like fucking orcs, like criminals, like the dark web. People are on the dark web looking for body parts, children, shipping containers full of limbs, peptides, whatever the fuck that is. Salmon sperm, donkey's dick, fucking tiger blood. Right? They're on there looking for fucking dodgy sticks so they can get Sky Sports for cheap. Trying to sell arms, drugs, smuggle people across borders, looking for codes for nuclear weapons, industrial secrets, political secrets, anything that's frowned upon, anything that's considered against humanity can be found in the dark web. And do you know what else can be found in the dark web? Fat men try to find clothes. That's it. That's what our VPN's for. We're not buying fucking body parts. We're not trafficking children. We're trying to find a fucking t-shirt and short combination that means we can wear it out on a Friday night to a nice restaurant. That's what we're trying to do. But for some reason, everything that is designed for the fuller figure seems to be absolutely skin tight and fucking thin fit. I bought a pair of shorts, which were meant to be dress shorts. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a dress short, but I bought them. I very nearly had to fucking grease myself up to get into the bastards. Now, do I have an odd body shape? Yes, I do. Nothing matches. I was a raggy doll in God's kitchen. All right? I don't know if one of the angels went to sleep and or there was a problem in the production line, but my quota was, I was a late loader. I was put together last minute. I could have been someone, they're an apprentice scheme. I don't know. But nothing fits. Nothing matches. My legs are too short for my body. My torso's too long for my body. As the great Muhammad Ali said, legs of a midget, body of a Viking. That's me. So if I buy trousers or shorts that fit my waist, they don't fit my thighs. If I buy a t-shirt that fits through my gut, it doesn't fit my shoulders. If I buy a t-shirt that fits my shoulders, it's fucking 3.5 feet too long. Nothing fits. Nothing matches. It's very difficult to clothe this body. If only we lived in a time where we did need clothes. Do you know what I mean? If that bitch Eve hadn't eaten that apple, I'd be quite happy right now. I'd be kicking about in a loincloth. Fine. So what do fat people wear? This is my problem with this weather. Right? This is my problem with this weather. I don't know what to wear and I don't have anything appropriate to wear. So can we just accept that when it gets to a certain temperature, you can wear what you want? Right? When it gets to a certain temperature in Scotland, dress code is out the fucking window. Okay? If I need to rock up to a restaurant in a pair of old fucking Bayern Munich shorts and a wife beater, so be it. And if some fucking arsehole at the restaurant says, sir, there is a dress code, I'll say, I'll divert your gaze to the thermometer where it'll read 28 degrees, so go fuck yourself, cunt. And also another thing, see for the fucking money that we paid for that meal, 5 of us, I'll not tell you how much, but it was over £200. I was, again, this could just be a Scottish thing, but have you ever gone out for a meal and you've had the meal and it's been okay, and then you find out how much it was, and that suddenly takes it from okay to an absolute disgrace? That's where I was last night. That's where I was last night. And the fucking Manuel looking cunt even said to me, I hope to see you back. Knowing fine well, I'll no be back. Knowing fine fucking well, I'll no be back. He's lying to himself. Yeah, Manuel, you're lying to yourself. I hope to see you again, sir. You'll not fucking see me for dust, cunt. You will not see me for fucking dust, cunt. So I'm reaching out to my fat brethren. My odd-shaped brother and sisters. What do yous wear? What do yous wear in this heat? I need a new wardrobe. I need some new clothes. That's what I need to do. I need to go through the wardrobe and I need to bin stuff. Because I've got a lot in there that doesn't fit. And I've got a lot in the wardrobe. It's too big because we've lost a bit of timber. And I'm holding on to it. And I don't know why I'm holding on to it, because we're not going back that way again. So we're going to have to do a clear out and we're going to have to get ourselves some new clobber. So if there is anybody out there who, who has to dress a fuller figure, where do you go? Because I see some people online. And I look at them and I go, the size of that fucking fat cunt. He's massive. And he's got clothes. Where the hell does he get any clothes for? He's all in jack him on the dark web. I don't really know what to do. Start making my own. Is that what we're at? Start making my own clothes like a fucking goblin. Kicking about in moo-moos. A hashtag moo-moo. Maybe that's what we need. So the weather is back to being painful. It's painful weather. And I came home from work the other day and I thought to myself that if we are going to live with this kind of weather, if this is what the old summer months of June, July and August are going to throw up, then we need to get ahead of this curve. I don't buy into the whole fucking net zero thing. We've been over this a million times. I think from what we can certainly establish through facts, and I know a lot of people in this day and age don't enjoy facts if it interferes with their narrative. Throughout time, the earth has warmed up and it's cooled down. And we, for whatever reason, seem to be in a cycle just now where it's getting warmer. And I imagine in another 100 years, possibly 1,000 years, it'll get colder. Maybe even in a couple of tens or hundreds of thousands of years, it may once again be covered in ice. Maybe we'll get hit by another fucking meteorite. Maybe the dinosaurs will come back. Maybe it'll come out that the dinosaurs is actually fake and it was really dragons that once roamed the earth. Who knows? All I know is that we are currently living in a time where it's getting too fucking hot. So we need to get ahead of the curve. We need to get ahead of the curve, and we need to start making decisions now that are going to help the people of Scotland during this heat wave and during the coming years when it continues to get warmer. And my idea, and when I say it, you're going to straight away say no, but again, hear me out. My idea is to bring back slavery. Now, straight away, you're going to think I'm talking about a certain group of people with a certain colour of skin. And I am not. I am not at all. I am simply saying that Scotland should lead the way in bringing back slavery. Now, my point being this. If anyone has ever been to Abu Dhabi or Dubai, if you've been out there to get your teeth done, your tits done, to shit in a coffee table, to possibly buy or sell human body parts, I don't know. But if you've ever been out there, you will know that they have what the UAE like to call migrant workers. Now, to you and I, they are slaves, but technically they're migrant workers. Now, again, if you've ever been to Abu Dhabi or Dubai, and the only reason I'm using these places as examples is because that is currently how hot it is in Scotland. That's how warm it is, right? Partick is the fucking Abu Dhabi of Scotland. It's warm. It's a barren wasteland, okay? It's hot. And if you're in one of the UAE countries, or Saudi, anywhere really in the Middle East where it's warm, slavery's rife. And it's rife because life goes on. You know, life goes on. Potholes need to be filled. Buildings need to be built. Services need to run. And no developed country should be doing that itself in such a temperature. So I would suggest that we bring in summer slaves. Okay? We don't need to call it that. We could call it something else. I quite enjoy the term summer slave. I quite enjoy it. And it would be very simple. You'd be offered food and shelter for the duration of the warm temperatures of Scotland. We would bring you in from a foreign country, and during the days when it goes above 22 degrees, which I think we can all agree is unacceptable conditions for any Scottish person to be working in, you have the option to opt in your summer slave. So instead of going to work, you just take your wee slave and you'll send them out to work for you. All right? And they will have the exact same working conditions that you do. I'm not saying that we have to batter these people. I'm not saying that they should be mistreated. I am simply saying that when it's too hot for a Scottish person to work, bring in your wee slave. That's it. Right? Like an avatar. It's like an avatar. That's what it is. You're bringing in your little avatar. Now, you know, unlike James Cameron, these avatars may have arrived, on a boat with the worldly possessions stuffed up their arse. It's not me that's done it. I'm offering work. I'm offering a way to give back to society by becoming a summer slave. And that's what I suggest the Scottish government starts to put into place. They like to take a long time to get things done, so we're probably too late. We've probably missed the fucking boat, pardon the pun, for this summer. But I think if we got things in place now, by the time summer 2027 comes round, every Scotsman of a working age could have a summer slave substitute in place by June 2027. I don't think that's unreasonable to ask. Now, obviously, you can pick one. You can pick one if you wish. How do we do this? Town hall meetings. Okay? Town hall. You come along, you bring your P45 or your P46 or a copy of your national insurance number. Proof of work. Right? That's what you bring. Proof of work. And we can separate the slaves we can separate the substitute workers into categories. You know, they could be strength, endurance. You know, all the strong substitute workers in one room, and the good motor skills, right, in one room. Depending on the job required, right? If somebody's going to, work outside and fix roads, we're maybe not going to put somebody who's a doctor or an engineer, right? Because there's a lot of doctors and engineers. We might put somebody in there who's just, just a big boy, big unit, right? A grafter, okay? So we'll split the substitute workers into different categories, and then you go in, you tell the, your local council member what it is you do for the job, and they'll direct you to whichever room best fits your substitute worker. And then you just get to know them. You just pick them, tell them what the job is, explain it a little bit, get the mobile number, because mobile phones will be provided. They are being provided, so they've got a mobile number. And then on the days when it goes above 22 degrees, you just text your wee worker substitute, and they go in and work for you, and you go home, and it's great, right? And it's great. And you obviously you keep your wages because you're the main guy. And then they get a wee bit of experience. And then when the summer's over, we send them back. Seems like a win-win to me. You go, where'd you send them back to? From whence they came. I don't know. I don't know. Underground. Who knows? Same place where the albinos have gone. Where have they gone? Who knows? When was the last time you saw an albino? No idea. 96? 97? That one in Big Brother? Who knows? There used to be rife. There used to be one albino in every high school in Scotland. None. Not one. Where have they gone? Nobody seems to care. Are they the real victims of global warming? Who knows? Have they gone back to the sea? Was there a calling? Is it the Kelpies? Have the Kelpies wiped out albinos in Scotland? I don't know. Where's that Louis Theroux documentary? Scotland's missing albinos. Who knows? But I think that would be a good initiative. I think that would be a good thing for Scotland to do, is to bring in a worker substitute programme in the summer. When it gets too hot for Scottish people to work, we simply send a substitute worker in to do our job for us, and we can be at home. We can enjoy the weather, and we can relax, and we can get out of our work clothes, and we can sit in our pants in our back garden and just bake, just exist in the heat. Because here's the thing, right, as well. There is no balance of the Scottish weather. It's not like we can sit here and go, it's another week of 26, 28 degrees, but you know what? See, in a couple of weeks' time, there'll be a balance, and we'll have 2 months of maybe 14, 15 degrees, when you can just go out at night and have a beer and not take a jacket, that kind of weather, right? A non-jacket, evening stroll weather in Scotland, you'll have 3 months of that. No, because once the heat goes, the rain will come. The rain will come. And then we'll have months and months of horrific rain and cold. And that's the reality of Scotland. All right? So we can work in that. We are the web feet people, right? Scottish people, we can work, we can flourish, we can excel in the wet, in the damp, in the dreich, in the cold. We cannot operate in the heat. So that's the payoff. All right? That's the yin to the yang, the give to the take. We get substitute workers in during the summer when it's too hot for us, and then when it's too wet and dreich for every other cunt on the planet, we come in and we flourish. All right? So that's it. So people out there moaning going, what are you going to do with it? No more problem. Right? What was it saying? The sun never sets in the empire. At some point, there's always going to be heat in the world, so they go where the heat is. All right? They migrate with the sun. Substitute migrate workers. That's how we deal with this heat problem in Scotland. So I hope the SNP's listening. I hope they're listening, and I hope they think about this substitute workers programme for next summer. Take it on board. And I'd also, while I've got the SNP's attention, I'd like to know what's happening with the motorhome. What's happening with that? Transport Museum. Get it in there. What the fuck is doing with that motorhome? We've not had any Munnell updates either. That's quite upsetting. I was hoping they might have been in a knife fight in his first week. Who knows? Who knows what's going on? But aye, substitute seasonal workers for Scottish people. It's the future.
Welcome to the hashtag show. Everyone's welcome. No one is safe. Welcome to the hashtag show.
I saw an old clip from the podcast I'd shared, and it was talking about quicksand. And I stand by this about every TV show and film having someone trapped in quicksand. And it did get me thinking, as I am now into my 40s, of a lot of stuff that was about when I was young that has either been a lie or I cannot figure out why it was such a big deal. And again, this might be one of these Mandela things, right? When you actually stop and think about it, you're going, is this just something that I have invented? Now, I don't know if this is a glitch in the Matrix and all our minds are misfiring. I don't know if the creator is currently working on another level of the Matrix that we're all going to fucking swap over into. I don't know. I even had to actually message my mate the other day to say, listen, did you tell me this, or is this just something that I have fucking dreamt up? And he's like, no, I did tell you that, big man. And it was fine. And I thought, I'm not losing my marbles. I'm actually okay. But does anyone else remember in the 80s and early 90s where there was, which I felt like, a never-ending campaign against electricity pylons? Does anyone... Am I losing my fucking mind, or does anyone else remember this? Because as a young boy growing up in Scotland, I was born in 84. Okay? So I grew up, obviously, late 80s, early 90s. And I was afraid of two things growing up. Three things, actually, right? Three things. I was afraid of getting dog shit in my eyes and going blind. My fishing rod touching an electricity wire and exploding, or kicking a football into an electricity pylon, going to get it and then exploding, and being taken away by a man in a van and having my arse buggered. That was my three. That was my holy trinity. Now, is that a Mandela effect, or is that real? Because all I seem to remember growing up was the never-ending campaigns against dog shite, electricity pylons, and getting into the back of somebody's van. I am now 42. I have never in my life, not once, read or met anyone in my life who has, one, gone blind from getting dog shite in their eyes, died from fucking touching an electricity pylon with a fishing rod, or been taken away and buggered in a van. Not one. Not one of them, mate. Where did this fear come from? I can vividly remember a television advert, and it was young boys walking down like fucking Emmerdale at a country road, and they had fucking fishing poles. Now, I am not a fisherman. I am not a fisherman. I have been fishing once. What did I catch? Alcoholism. That's what I caught. I went out on a boat with a group of guys, and I got fucking steaming, and I came back in, and then somebody drove home. Now, my memory is that everyone was drinking, but we got home safe. The Scottish way. I don't know any fishing people. I don't know it. I don't know anyone who goes fishing. I know nothing of fishing. It seems like it's a very secretive sport. Is it even a sport? I don't know. I imagine in my head, it's kind of like Brokeback Mountain. I think fishing is the gateway to homosexuality. There, I said it. I think people whose husbands, partners, boyfriends go off for hours at a time with their close male friends fishing, they're sucking each other off in the water. I don't know if it heightens the experience. I don't know if getting sucked off in knee-deep, cold Scottish water increases your orgasm by 100%. I have no idea. I've never tried it. The wife's not that adventurous. If I was to say to her, get your waders on, we're going down the Clyde, she would probably say no, right? But then if you said to your pal, get your waders on, we're going to the Clyde, maybe he would be up for it. I don't know. I'm not a fishing person. I don't see the appeal to it. Sitting on a riverbank, for hours to catch something and throw it back in. I don't get it. All right? But in saying that, I don't know how long a rod is. I don't know if it's even correct etiquette to ask the length of a man's rod. I don't know if there's standard rods. I don't know what the average rod length is. 5.5 inches. I don't know, but I remember this advert and it was two fucking young boys walking down a country lane and they had what the fucking size of fishing rod they had on. I don't know what it was going to catch. Right? I don't know if there was a sighting of a great white off the coast of Greenock and you need a fucking 42-foot fishing pole. I don't know. I never knew they had fishing poles that size. But I do remember in the advert that the cunt touched the fucking fishing line, touched the pole after the electric cables, and he fucking blew him right out his shoes. Now, I don't know much about fishing, but I did a little bit of electricity, and if the cunt had rubber shoes on, he'd be fine. I remember that much for school. So is this back at a time when proper shoemakers were still around? Possibly in the 90s, when you could get the soles fixed in your shoes. Maybe that's the real fucking criminals here. Maybe that's the real crime in society. It's not that electricity's become safer, it's that shoes have become shitter. Because back in the 80s, your shoes would protect you. You know? If 50,000 volts went passing through your fucking body, you'd have a ragged pair of fucking soled shoes on to protect you. Now we're all kicking about in shitey Chinese-made rubber trainers that would fucking blow up at a very mention of a fucking couple of volts. Is that how China's winning the war? Is that how they're going to win the war? Is that it? Have we uncovered something here? There is a big push for us all to go electric. And every fucking thing you wear is made in China. Are China secretly building clothing and footwear that is conductive of electricity? For when the United Kingdom finally goes fully electric, they will send a charge through our homes that will blow the fucking slippers clean off us. That's what I remember when I was young. I remember these boys getting blown up. I also remember an advert when somebody kicked their fucking football into like an electricity box and they climbed the fence and he died. Now, it never showed you how he died. That would have been more exciting. And I can remember signs up everywhere going, don't climb this fucking fence, man. Christ, you'll get blown to bits. I don't know how it works, right? Because I knew somebody who kicked their ball into one of these electricity boxes, climbed the fence, got the ball, and climbed back out. And they live to this day. I don't know how you die from that happening. I don't know if you need to climb in and then piss on the electricity box and stick your cock in it and then you blow up. I don't know. I never witnessed it. I never saw it. Right? But that was a fear that was put in young children. Oh my God, fucking young Billy's kicked his ball and he's dead. That's what they made you believe. They made you believe that if your ball went over that metal fence and fucking somehow touched into the electricity box, you would all instantly die. Like some kind of silent fucking bullet would shoot out and all these children dead. How did your son die? Oh, his pal kicked a fucking fitman in the electricity box and the fucking magic bullets shot him on, he died. I don't know how it might kill you, but it was a fear. Right? It was a genuine fear. I don't know if people were hanging for electricity wires back in the day. I don't know if people were climbing pylons. We never had social media. It was a simpler time. Right? Would you go out and climb an electricity pylon? Quite possibly. But what I'm saying is I don't know anybody that fucking died from it, but I feel as if it was constantly on every fucking television channel that your children could die of electricity. Am I making this up? Or is this real? Dog shit's the other one. Now, obviously, as time has gone on, technology has gone on, and our love of animals has also moved forward. Because when I was wee in the 80s, there was not the level of dog breeding that there was. And I don't mean by that people out shagging dogs. That's a different thing, because that woman's gone into jail, and rightly so. What I mean is, all I seem to remember when I was young is there was two types of dogs. There was an ankle biter and there was a child killer. That's it. That was the breed of dog. There wasn't breeds. There wasn't types. It was just a dog, right? It was either a wee ankle biting dog that grannies had, or it was a killer that other people had. That was it. Right? Nobody would say in the 80s, 90s, oh, what kind of breed is that? Is that a Pekingese Chihuahua? It's a killer. It's a killing dog. Right? It's the size of a fucking Shetland pony and it would rip your arms off. That's the kind of dog people had. Dogs ran free. Dogs roamed like fucking wild cats in Scotland. Some people would bring a dog home. Your mother would refuse it at the door. We move on 30, 40 years and suddenly we've got crufts is important. You know, people watch it. They understand different breeds. We've got umpteen fucking companies selling tailored food for your dog. Now, is that the reason why there's no any multicoloured dog shit anymore? Is that why it is? Because white dog shit died out in the 80s. Right? White dog shit and albinos. We're being wiped out. We're being wiped out, guys. Was it the sudden increase in overall fucking quality of dog food that wiped out the white dog shit? I don't know. Why suddenly was a period in time when dogs were doing white shits? I don't know. This is the information that we need. And also, why was there a period of time when there was a campaign to stop you putting dog shit in people's eyes? What the fuck was happening? How the fuck were people getting dog shit in their eyes and going blind? How? Because that to me seems like a bit of a made-up story. That to me seems like somebody who's gone to A&E and they've panicked. That's what that is. That to me seems like two brothers messing about. One of them's threw a dart into his eye. He's blinded him. They've gone to the hospital. He doesn't want to grass himself in and say that he fucking jabbed out his brother's eyeball. So he says he fell in dog shite because dog shite's everywhere. The young boy's panicked and he's thought, what could possibly turn my brother blind? He fell in a dog shite. The dog shite went in his eyes. Now, again, today, 2026, in a modern civilization, you might be thinking to yourself, just how much dog shit could there have been in the 80s? Everywhere. Everywhere. We've had dogs domesticated for hundreds of years, but it only seems that in 2012, somebody actually sat down and went, maybe we should invent a way to pick up dog shite, and they invented the poo bag. Because believe me, in the 80s in Scotland, dog shite was everywhere. Dog shite was everywhere. Nobody picked the dog shite up. Nobody. Doug done a shite, moved on. And that shite remained until either it became part of the earth or someone stuck their face in it and went blind. That was the only two ways to remove a dog shite in the haze. It becomes the earth or it takes the sight of a child. Now, was there a time when you would run about chasing your mates with a stick with dog shite at the end of it? Yes. Yes, that was a thing. You know, some people say, nowadays, should children be banned from social media? Has social media ruined children's lives? Is it really a danger? And you think, what was life like in the 80s? We chased people running with sticks with dog shit on it. So, you know, that's more conversation needs to be had around that. Were we better off before social media? Possibly. But were kids being blinded by dog shite and electrocuted by fucking 40-foot fishing rods? Yes, they were. I would probably argue that since the invention of social media, the number of children blinded by dog shite has dramatically decreased. I'd put my mortgage on that. I don't have the exact figures. I'm scared to ask ChatGPT in case it grasses me into the FBI. I fully imagine that if you took a fucking pie chart of the number of children who have been electrocuted by electricity lines with 90 feet fishing rods or blinded by dog shit, that number has dramatically decreased since the creation of social media. Now, the only thing that seems to have remained constant since the 80s right through to the mid-2000s is pedos. And you've got to admire them in a sense because they don't give up. Now, they've very much moved from working in the shadows of the 80s pedo, where a bit of work had to go in, you know? A bit of work had to go in. And like anything else, you know, as time goes on, you realise how hard the early pioneers in any industry had to work. Just now, when I watch some of the Pride marches, and you're going, Gibbo, how are you connecting these two? Stay with me here. When I watch some of the Pride marches, especially one in Glasgow, or some of the trans movement, and some of the allies who speak out, and some of the concerns that people have nowadays, I think you have no idea how easy you've got it. I am not a gay man. I enjoy the fanny too much. I'm sorry. But if I was a gay man in the 80s, if I was a gay man in the 60s in Britain, a gay man in the 80s, right? Let's just say, time I was born, grew up. If I was a gay man in the 80s and I had to listen to some of the fucking nonsense that the modern gay man in Scotland moans about, I would think to myself, you have fucking no idea what we went through. No idea. A time when it was illegal. Grown men having to sneak about. Secret codes. Secret language. That only other gay men knew about. Having to find places of safety. Places where true allyship were. To simply exist. To go out in an evening. To have a drink. To have a meal. To congregate even. Just to simply be around other gay men. Another gay man. Just because at that time in society, the person you loved, it was considered wrong. It was considered illegal. To simply be in love with another man, it was considered illegal. And we look back now and we think to ourselves how wrong society was. Because love is love. Love is love. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Love is love. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter your sex. It doesn't matter where you're from. Love is love. And we all deserve love. And if you can find someone who loves you and you love them, life gets a lot better. And I don't care if you're gay, straight, or whatever. I really don't care. All I care about, and I've said it till I'm fucking blue in the face, is are you a cunt or not? And that's it. But when you look back to the older generations and what people went through, there was a little bit more work involved. To be a gay man in the 80s, there was more work involved. To be a pedo in the 80s, there was more work involved. You had to have a van for a start. You had to have a van. You had to have a bit of, I would say, probably disposable income. Because, again, you had to have at least a small tuck shop in that van. No nowadays. You know? No nowadays, when they are just simply lifting children off the street. Or buying them online. Or going off to an island. Like Millport. Can you imagine an 80s pedo being told there will come a time when you can just snatch away in the street and nothing will happen to you? They would have wept. I don't really know where I'm going with this one. But all I know is that the things that were meant to scare us in the 80s have either proven to be false or untrue. And sadly, the only one of those three fears, dog shite, electricity pylons and pedos, that still exists are pedos. It's the only one. It's the only one that made it. Was the fucking beasts. And they're still going strong, dirty bastards. I feel like, and I don't know how, if there's anybody who understands social media, I don't get it. I don't like it. Right? I don't like it. I think it is the worst thing that's happened to humanity, social media. I'll stand by that. And I do think that, given time, we'll recognise that. But I feel that out, I don't know how to reset my algorithm. If anybody knows how to do that, do I need to watch like 50 videos of hamsters to fucking reset it? Because it feels to me like my social media is like a Clockwork Orange. That's what it feels like. That bit with the fucking sellotape the guy's eyeballs open. That's what my social media feels like. And I don't know how to reset it. I don't know how to reset it. Every time I turn social media on, it seems to be a video of some fucking council estate in Scotland with a beast getting led away with the police. What the fuck is going on? What's happening, man? What has happened to this pleasant and green land? Glasgow's on its arse. They've just released images of the corner of Central Station, and it's just depressing. It's just absolutely fucking depressing. And I saw a thing to say that it could be 2 to 3 years before anything's done with the space, which I think is quite disgraceful, really. I think that the Scottish government just now is missing a lot of small wins that can go a long way to kind of rebuild some faith in government. I think that simple things like doing something to bring communities together, addressing certain problems that certain parts of Scotland have would be an easy fix. Something like the Central Station fire. It doesn't have to be completed overnight, but making a decision on what that space will be could be done quickly. Some kind of consultation as to what should go in there or how we use that space could be done quickly. And I think something like that would go a long way into helping restore a little bit of faith and maybe putting a little bit of pride back into Glasgow. Because I don't know if anybody's been to Glasgow recently, but it feels sad. That's the only way I can describe it. I know a few people are saying it feels unsafe. To me personally, I don't think it feels unsafe, but I think it feels quite sad. I was driving through Glasgow just at the start of last week, and that's the only way I can describe it. Even in the sun, even in the sunshine, even on a beautiful day, as I drove through Glasgow, it just felt quite sad. It felt like I was driving through a city that had been given up on. That's what it felt like. It didn't feel like it was a city in the midst of a rebuild or being regenerated. It felt like a city that had been given up on and it was being left to go to ruin. That's what it felt like. So I don't know, but when I saw the corner of Central, it was quite sad, and I don't know why it made me sad. I suppose because it feels like it's part of your history and your memories growing up that's been wiped out. And I think, like most people just now, it feels like no one really cares. That's the only way I can describe it. It feels like no one really cares. And we do feel a little, I suppose people in Scotland feel a little bit hopeless as to how we can fix things. So I kind of just wish somebody within Glasgow City Council, which will never happen, or within Scottish Government, would just do something to just launch an initiative that would make Scottish people feel a little bit better. Something. I don't know what it is. I'm not in government. It's not my fucking job. But just find something that would make us all feel a little bit better. So yes, the memories of the 80s, things that we were told, definitely electricity pylons. Dog shite makes you blind, and fucking getting taken away in a van. You know, people used to threaten their children with that. See if you don't tidy your room, see if you don't behave, the man in the van will take you away. That's what they used to say to Wayne's. What do you mean the man in the van? The man in the van. Grown adults using pedos as a threat to children. Again, different times they lived in. What else we had? We had, odd enough, we had Wimbledon come and go, and nobody gave a fuck. I do enjoy Wimbledon when the World Cup is on, because when the World Cup or the Euros is not on, basically when there's not a footballing event on in the summer, Wimbledon will talk a good game. Wimbledon will talk as though it is the greatest sporting tournament on the planet, and every single person in the world loves tennis and loves Wimbledon, and it's an institution, and it's part of Great Britain, and it's part of who we are, until a football tournament comes along and then nobody gives a flying fuck. I actually didn't even know Wimbledon had started. I watched, I think, a game and turned it off. And then all of a sudden I just realised that I was flicking through the news channels and it said the men's Wimbledon final is tomorrow. And I thought, how the fuck is it the final? And I realised the whole thing's been and gone and nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares. This is what the World Cup has shown us, certainly this year as well, even with the amount of corruption that is in FIFA, and I believe there is corruption, and I think it has been shown again this World Cup, there is not a single sport on this planet that can compete with football. Not even close. Nothing. Football truly is the global game. And if there is a tournament on, every fucking bastard on the planet will watch it. And nothing. I don't care if it's golf, if it's tennis, if it's darts, rugby, nothing. Nothing will compete with football. And that is the blessing and the curse of FIFA. That's the problem that we have. Because all the rumours are true, then the next World Cup's only going to get bigger. And it's going to get to the point, I think, where FIFA will eventually have a tournament that runs every 2 years, and it will involve every single nation on the planet. And I was thinking about it, and I'm going, I wonder if FIFA were to run a tournament every 2 years and remove all qualifications for any tournament, I would imagine that most clubs and national football associations would go for that. I certainly think the clubs would go for it. Think how many times over the years where a club team has lost one of the players due to being injured during a qualification game for a Euros or a World Cup. Think how many times throughout the season, in fact, we were talking about it yesterday, I think the first international break's September. So the season, most seasons are only starting back in August, and the first national break's going to be in September. I think if FIFA were to say that, maybe not the next World Cup, but the 34 World Cup, there's going to be no qualifications. Every team is going to qualify. And there will be more groups, and then we'll whittle it down for there. I think that clubs would go for that. I think clubs would accept that. A longer tournament every 2 years and no qualification games. So you could maybe have a couple of friendlies or something just to fine-tune things and then get straight in the tournament. I imagine a lot of people would go for that. Who knows? Has the World Cup been good? The stories of Scotland were great. The Tartan Army was brilliant. Has the football been good? For me, not personally. I think some of the games have been quite boring. The England-France game probably was the highlight, just because of the number of goals. The thing that's been lacking for me is the unsung heroes, the madness. Because normally in a World Cup, you get one or two players that play in like the fucking Botswana League or the Polish 9th Division, and they come through and you go, who the fuck is this wee guy? We've not really had that. We had the Cape Verde goalkeeper, a 40-year-old who's now signed for Inter Miami. Who gives a fuck? We'll never see him ever again. Because we're not going to watch the MLS, are we? Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. I'd rather watch the Eredivisie. I'd rather watch the SPL before I watch fucking MLS. So there's not really been anybody that's lit the world on fire. And it's been one for the conspiracy theories, because as we continue on with what I believe is the FIFA corruption towards Messi and Argentina, it's not been an enjoyable tournament to watch. So I hope that tonight, when Spain play Argentina, I hope that Spain fucking smash them to pieces. That's what I hope. And I hope that this is the last that I have to watch Messi at a tournament. I really do. Because he's not the GOAT. He's not the chosen one. He's a very naughty boy, in my opinion. I think there are very simple, basic things in life. I think that you can have an argument for everything. And you can argue for and against for most things. And I'm all happy for people to have those arguments, have those discussions. But at the end of the day, there's always a right and wrong answer. And when it comes down to things like football, when it comes down to things like music, or it comes down to things like art, or comedy, or anything, there's always the right answer and the wrong answer. There is an element of argument within that, and some people can argue for and against. Some people could argue for one or for the other, but we all know at the end of the day, there is a right and a wrong answer. And when it comes to football, everybody who has joy in their heart, everybody who loves football for the fucking madness and pain and joy and misery and just moments that take your breath away, moments that make you think, how the fuck has he done that? If that is how you look at football, if you look at football for the unimaginable joy and disbelief of talent, if that is what you watch football for, then you know that Ronaldo is the greatest player of all time. He may not be the greatest footballer of all time. And within that, there are differentiations. But if it comes down to a discussion of the greatest of all time between Messi and Ronaldo, everybody who loves the game knows the answer to that is Ronaldo. And that's it. And if you disagree, I feel sorry for you, because you have lost what the meaning of football truly is. So I hope and I pray that Spain do the job and they send that little midget back to Miami and he can go and fucking live out his days with David Beckham and then disappear into the fucking Argentinian mist with his Nazi gold and his Hitler salute, and off he pops. So yeah, good World Cup, fun moments. Tartan Army definitely fucking won the tournament, hands down. And to all those boys who have now found themselves trapped in Boston by aggressive Irish women, hey, you've made your bed, you lie in it. Have a good week. I am actually back in the studio tomorrow night with Andy Haldane. Very much looking forward to having Andy in. So this episode will be out this week. You're probably listening to it. You're probably listening to it right now. And next week's one will be me and Andy having a conversation. So watch out for that. As always, like and subscribe, do all that shit. Get on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube, right? We need to get those numbers up. And if you see the videos on social media, share them. Become a hero if you want to support the show. Patreon.com/the#show. It helps keep the studio going. And it helps support the show. So please do that if you can. Patreon.com/the#show. If you can't become a hero, simply follow me on social media at Big Scott Gibson on Instagram and at Big Scott Gibson on TikTok. Follow me, share the stuff, keep growing, look after yourself, stay hydrated, be legends, be heroes. Love is our currency. I'll speak to you all soon. Onwards.
Goodbye, dear hero. It's been a blast. For another week we say adios. If you came as a friend or even foe, then you should become a hashtag hero. Spread the show as far as you can. 1 million heroes or a lifetime ban. All we do is speak our minds. We hope you're around for the ride. We are the hashtag show. Everyone's welcome. No one is safe. Winter is coming, but we hate snowflakes. This is the hashtag show. Become a hashtag hero. Become a hashtag hero. Become a hashtag hero. Until next time, Love, love, love. The hashtag show.